Controversial former TNA World Champion Tessa Blanchard reportedly is set to return to the company. We've got details on the backstage reaction from talent and also who she's expected to feud with. Multiple stations reportedly are in talks over a weekly Ring of Honor television show. Details on AEW's financial viability heading into a move to streaming next year on Max. We've got more details on CM Punk vs Seth Rollins, reportedly slated for the Monday Night Raw premiere on Netflix next year. Details on the Gunns being absent from AEW television. And WWE reportedly turns down Chelsea Green appearing in a match in GCW. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's get into a absolutely stunning news story today, because sometimes goodbye is a second chance, and former Impact / TNA Knockouts and world champion Tessa Blanchard might be making her return to TNA Wrestling, according to this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter. Although the third generation star has been with CMLL since October of last year, it appears she has been absent from recent shows by the promotion, despite holding one half of the World Women's Tag Team Championship with Luvia. Their title reign began this past August when they defeated Persephone and Zixus in the tournament finals to crown the new champions after the announcement broke that then contracted star Stephanie Vacqua had signed with WWE, leaving the titles vacated. Now, in an interview this week, Luvia mentioned that her favorite tag team partner to work with is La Jarochicha, who shared the Mexican National Women's Tag Team Championship with her, leaving Blanchard's name out of the equation. Regarding the resolution that comes with what happens to the CMLL Women's Tag Team titles, which remains up in the air, the Wrestling Observer confirmed that Blanchard has indeed re-signed with TNA. Now, based on the speculation, it appears that Blanchard will do a quick program with Jordynne Grace. The three-time Knockouts World Champion is expected to depart the company and potentially head to WWE after her contract expiration in early 2025. Blanchard, who worked for Impact before returning to its original TNA moniker, initially signed with the company in 2018. In her first run, Blanchard epitomized the term of turning pressure into diamonds when she led the charge of intergender wrestling, main eventing mainstream wrestling, by becoming the first ever female to hold the Impact World Championship at Hard to Kill in 2020. Unfortunately, towards the end of her first run with TNA, the diamond flew too close to the sun when her dark past came to light, including allegations of bullying towards other female wrestlers and usage of racial slurs towards others. The two, that being La Rosa Negra, the person who allegedly was racially abused by Tessa Blanchard, have made amends since the incident. But more details from this story comes from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, who has confirmed that Tessa Blanchard appears to be poised to be headed back to TNA. Fightful Select had heard from various talent around the wrestling world on December 12 that believed Tessa Blanchard was en route back to TNA sooner rather than later. On December 13, as I mentioned, the Wrestling Observer reported that was the plan. Fightful had spoken to talent in AEW, WWE, and TNA on Thursday in disbelief that the company was moving in that direction. The news reportedly was kept away from the entire roster as of the time of the details emerging, and even many of the staff who are usually in the know. Fightful have been told this was done intentionally as there was a fear of backlash internally. There are some people that remain with the company that have remained friends of Tessa, but one person in the know said that the hope that there is enough new talent to work with that hasn't soured on her. Another source believes Blanchard will be on her, quote, best behavior, as this is a major opportunity for her. Now, Fightful have been told that the plan has been in motion for at least the last 2 weeks and was the decision of a top person in Anthem, and they were warned against by others in the company. It is not the work of new Anthem president Carlos Silva, who has just joined the company. The plan is to have Tessa Blanchard involved by next month, where she's slated to work against Jordynne Grace and win. Fightful have been told that Jordynne Grace had pushed back on working with Blanchard. The current plan for Blanchard is to come into the company as a heel. As I mentioned, Blanchard left TNA in 2020 after refusing to give up the TNA Championship and allegedly holding the company up for money to drop the title. She was crowned champion amid allegations of using racial slurs towards La Rosa Negra and bullying numerous talent across wrestling. Fightful have never heard of a specific apology that was made, but she and La Rosa Negra posed for pictures together in recent years. The situation made her untouchable by WWE, who had interest prior to the allegations. There were a couple of people early on who pushed for her to join AEW in 2019 by some who are no longer with the company, but it was made clear that talent did not want her there at that time. Blanchard eventually joined WOW as the product that was originally planned to become a women's wrestling alternative became a Tessa Blanchard rehabilitation project. That didn't end up lasting long, and Blanchard left and ended up working in Mexico. Fightful were also told that as of 2020, Blanchard was no longer working with the high-profile agent she had prior. One source believed TNA was motivated in bringing in new talent as they expect to lose Speedball Mike Bailey, Jordan Grace, and Josh Alexander. Now, Fightful say they've not been told if Blanchard is expected at shows this evening for TNA wrestling or anything like that. Fightful also say that Tessa Blanchard hasn't been seen at the venue this evening, but is expected there later. A number of talent and staff reached out to Fightful today to communicate they had no idea Blanchard was coming in until the reports emerged today. Now, let's talk about Ring of Honor and possibly a TV show for them. A new reporter shared an update on Ring of Honor's negotiations for a new TV deal. On the October 23rd edition of AEW Dynamite, Chris Jericho defeated Mark Briscoe in a ladder war to win the Ring of Honor World Championship for a second time. Jericho since went on to successfully defend his title against Tomohiro Ishii on the November 27 episode of Dynamite. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that multiple television stations are reportedly in talks for a weekly Ring of Honor show, with one of the reasons being that Jericho recently winning the Ring of Honor World title. The report reads, quote, regarding Ring of Honor, there are said to be multiple stations in talks regarding a potential weekly show. As noted, that's one of the reasons they made Chris Jericho champion during the negotiations process. Of course, Jericho is scheduled to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship against Matt Cardona on Friday, December 20 at Final Battle. Now, speaking of AEW, just what shape are they looking like heading into next year as they move to a streaming platform with the new media rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery? Now, January 2025 will mark the beginning of a new year for AEW as the company begins its new media rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, which will also see AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision simulcast on the Max streaming service. AEW's back catalogue of events is also scheduled to upload to Max throughout 2025, and pay-per-views will also air live later on in the year. But the perception of AEW as of late has not been good. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer examined the highs and lows of AEW's current product ahead of the move to streaming. Starting off with something that won't matter as much come the new year, but is a telltale sign that things aren't going well, is TV ratings. The most glaring example was the December 6 AEW Rampage, which many, including Meltzer himself, claimed to be the best episode of the show this year, but even in its regular time slot drew a total of 177,000 viewers and a 0.04 in the key 18 to 49 demographic, and most alarmingly, only 9,000 people in the 18 to 34 demographic. Meltzer did note that the show is getting cancelled at the end of the year, and one show didn't ring too many alarms, but both Dynamite and Collision have experienced huge drops in the past 12 months. For the most recent shows at the time of recording, both have lost over half of the 18 to 34 audience compared to the same episodes in 2023, a time that many people also saw AEW's ratings as a big problem. Now, it's not all bad news for AEW, as Meltzer did note that after Raw moves to Netflix, Dynamite will likely become the number 2 entertainment show on cable behind SmackDown for WWE, and that some elements of the company are steadying. One of the major positives for AEW is the recent pre-sale tickets for AEW All In Texas on July 12. It became the third highest grossing event in company history, behind the previous 2 All In events at Wembley Stadium, making it the highest grossing event in North America the company has seen, with 7 months left to go before bow time. However, the idea of trying to make All In Texas AEW's version of WrestleMania hasn't fully resonated with people. Despite the money made from ticket sales, the belief amongst people is that the show has only sold around 6,000 tickets so far at an extremely high price, with the perception of many being that if it doesn't hit at least 20,000, it won't be classed as a success, no matter how much money is grossed at the gate. Another major positive is the value of wrestling to networks and the aforementioned deal with WBD, which guarantees AEW to not only be profitable for the next 3 years, or possibly 4 years, but to be the most profitable wrestling company not named WWE in pro wrestling history. There are still negotiations with other networks regarding AEW Shockwave that could act as a spiritual successor for Rampage, but with so much decline within the company right now, Meltzer questions where AEW might end up if WBD doesn't pick up the company for another deal at the end of 2027, 2028 being the other endpoint if WBD picks up the 1-year extension. Now, when it comes to possible issues, now this might sound strange on the surface, but as the challenger brand and the firm number 2 brand, AEW's biggest problem is the comparison to WWE, something Meltzer believes they are no longer in a good position of given their decline and WWE's rise in popularity. While 18 to 34 may have been an area that AEW has been struggling in, WWE has been thriving in, an area that Meltzer believes even is more pivotal than the 18 to 49 demographic, as the younger audience will always choose whatever is cool at the time. In order to become cool, Meltzer says he knows there is no easy fix. The idea of pushing younger talent will hurt numbers at first, but could very well pay off. But their perception is hurt because they aren't in WWE. As for pushing older talent, that won't do it either. And for Meltzer, AEW has pushed far too many veterans in recent years, to the point where they can't move forward and the product is almost the same as it was when it started. The main thing that can give AEW a real shot in the arm is star power, similar to how Hulk Hogan made WCW a real competitor in the 90s, which will once again be a long-term thing if younger talent is pushed. Plus, Meltzer feels like there isn't anyone that could actually do it for AEW, considering neither a Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes will make the jump, meaning that while they'll have to get cool stars and get AEW in more visible places in the world to see them, they also need to make sure they aren't seen as a loser brand in an industry where Meltzer feels everything is down, apart from main roster WWE and also NXT. Now, as far as what could fix their issues, well, all in all, Meltzer knows AEW has deep pockets thanks to the Khan family and the money it will get from TV and streaming. But even if people call this phase for AEW a transition period, the problems are evident. The company can't stay the same, as recent declines have shown, but steering away from the current product is a big gamble. AEW needs to be seen as cool, but there is no short-term fix to make them cool, so what can they actually do? For one, Meltzer feels that the live experience at TV tapings needs to be improved by having more of the top stars present each week, even potentially by doing big dark matches. They've been better at advertising people and matches ahead of time, but more direct promotion needs to be done, and the issue of advertising stars on posters who aren't going to be at the show needs to be eradicated. Booking could also be freshened up, and the company's PR needs improving in order to restore their public perception as a challenger brand rather than a distant number 2. Meltzer believes the jury is out on All in Texas and that it could work in the end, but the idea of booking a big stadium show in the United States isn't a guaranteed success unless it's main roster WWE, which AEW is not. If anything, Meltzer believes AEW are closer to WCW in the early 90s prior to Hogan's arrival, a company that had some highlights and some great weeks at times, but one that has been a lot of easily fixable mistakes that aren't currently being treated. Now let's talk about Raw on Netflix and a big match set for the show. Following Survivor Series, CM Punk's ongoing tensions with Seth Rollins escalated when the pair needed to be separated by Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and numerous WWE producers. The segment was seemingly building up to a future clash between Punk and Rollins, which may initially have been expected to take place at WrestleMania 41 next year. However, it was reported last week by Dr. Chris Featherstone that WWE was planning on the match between Punk and Rollins for the premiere episode of Raw on Netflix on January 6th in Los Angeles. In an update from PW Insider, they were told this morning that Punk vs. Rollins on the Netflix premiere of Raw is 100% the current direction the company is heading. While PW Insider was cautioned with the usual anything can always change, the match is reportedly part of the company's plan to come in nuclear hot for the Netflix premiere on January 6th. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to the absence of former AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Gunns. It's been over 3 months since we've seen Austin and Colton Gunn, with their Bang Bang Gang stablemates Jay White and Juice Robinson representing the group on TV in their absence. According to Fightful Select, the Gunns' prolonged absence from AEW has been attributed to injury, as confirmed to Fightful at the WrestleCade convention, with Austin reportedly sidelined with an undisclosed injury. It's unclear whether anything has happened to Colton, as sources within AEW believe he was medically cleared to compete as recently as last week. Considering they're predominantly used as a duo, Colton could be off TV until his brother recovers. And finally, an interesting story here when it comes to Chelsea Green possibly working a match outside of WWE. Since returning to WWE in 2023, Chelsea Green has become one of the most consistently entertaining acts in the entire promotion. Before re-signing, Green had established herself as a wrestler and manager to her husband Matt Cardona on the independent scene, including Game Changer Wrestling. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that WWE reportedly turned down GCW's idea for Green to team with Cardona at the upcoming Hammerstein Ballroom show on January 19. The report reads, quote, "There was also an idea at one point for Cardona and Chelsea Green versus Joey Janela and Megan Bayne on that show, but WWE wouldn't go for it. The People versus GCW event will mark the company's return to the Hammerstein Ballroom for the first time in 3 years." But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.